Okay, so let's set the scene for this deep dive. It's 1552. We're in Venezuela, which is, basically the edge of the known world for the Spanish at this point.
It's fragile territory,
Yeah.
chaotic, all centered on these brutal gold mines.
And right in the middle of that chaos, something happens that's completely unprecedented. A man doesn't just lead a revolt.
He builds a sovereign state,
Yeah.
a kingdom. We're talking about Miguel De Buría and the first independent African kingdom in the Americas.
And the thing that makes this so fascinating isn't just the rebellion itself, it's the sheer sophistication of it.
Exactly. This wasn't some spontaneous riot. This was a calculated, organized move to create a parallel monarchy led by a man who didn't just fight the Spanish Empire. He understood its operating system.
That is the mission here. To unpack how one man used the colonizers' own rules against them. And to do that, you have to start with his background. Miguel wasn't a bozal.
Right, not a newly arrived captive from Africa who didn't know the language or the custom.
No. He was born around 1510 in San Juan, Puerto Rico. He was a Ladino.
And that one word, Ladino, it changes everything. It means he was Hispanized, he spoke fluent Spanish, he was a baptized Catholic, he'd grown up inside the colonial system.
So he had this cultural fluency. He wasn't an outsider looking in.
He was an insider breaking out. He knew the laws, the religion, the social hierarchy. He knew all the rules of their game.
And you see that knowledge explode into action in 1552 at the San Felipe mines. A foreman tries to whip him.
A pretty standard, brutal event for the time.
But Miguel doesn't just take it, he fights back. And specifically, he grabs the foreman's sword.
And that detail, the sword, is so important. In the 16th century, a sword wasn't just a weapon. It was the ultimate symbol of a gentleman, an hidalgo. It was a sign of authority.
So by seizing the blade, he's not just disarming a guard.
No, he's symbolically seizing the foreman's status. He's saying, I'm on your level.
Okay, so he escapes to the mountains with this huge symbol of power, but he doesn't just hide.
No. He establishes the kingdom of Buria, and this is where that Ladino advantage becomes so clear. He builds a mirror image of a European court.
He crowns himself King Miguel I.
His wife, Guiomar, is named queen. He appoints a prince, ministers, a whole government.
But the real masterstroke, the thing that I think really threatened the Spanish on an existential level,
That has to be the church.
the church, he appoints his own bishop.
A fellow rebel who was also a Ladino. Think about the strategy there. The entire Spanish claim to the Americas was based on a religious mandate from the Pope.
Right, the idea that obedience to the crown was the only path to salvation.
But if Miguel has his own bishop, his own sacraments, his own church, well, he's just created a closed loop. He's cut out the middleman. He told his people they didn't need the Spanish king to get to heaven.
It's spiritual and political independence all at once, and he builds an army to defend it.
A formidable one. It wasn't just African Runes. He allied with the local indigenous Jirahara people.
So it's a multi-ethnic force, and they engaged in some pretty terrifying psychological warfare.
Oh, absolutely. They used the local plant life, specifically the Junipa americana fruit.
Gagua. Right, the juice from it dyes your skin a deep blue-black color.
An indelible color. So you have these warriors, their skin dyed this unnatural dark shade appearing out of the dense forest. To a superstitious Spanish soldier, they didn't look human.
They look like supernatural beings. It was theater meant to cause terror.
And it worked. The kingdom grew, they say, to about 1,500 people. They kept raiding mines to free more people and build their forces. They were actively dismantling the colonial economy.
But you can't challenge an empire that directly and not expect a massive response. In 1555, they attacked the city of Barquisimeto.
And in that attack, they kill a Catholic priest. That was the line.
The point of no return. The Spanish couldn't ignore that.
No. The response was swift and brutal.
Yeah.
They sent in Diego de Losada, a top-tier conquistador. In the end, Miguel was killed in battle, and the political kingdom, well, it collapsed.
But the story doesn't end there. And this is where history starts to bleed into legend. Because Queen Guiomar was never captured.
She escaped, disappeared into the mountains near a place called Mount Sorte. And because she was never found, oral tradition took over.
Over centuries, she was transformed. Queen Guiomar became Maria Leonza.
A goddess, a nature deity, and a protector who is still a central figure in Venezuelan spirituality today. The people just refused to let her story die.
The political kingdom was gone, but a spiritual one survived. And even on the ground, that area, Nirgua, became home to a Zambo community mixed African and indigenous who were so hard to conquer.
That the Spanish eventually just gave up and granted them legal autonomy. The kingdom's legacy, in a way, was carving out a space the empire just couldn't control.
Miguel's story proves the colonial machine wasn't invincible, not if you knew how it worked from the inside, which leaves us with a final thought to mull over.
What if it had worked?
Exactly. If the Kingdom of Buría had survived just a few more years, maybe gained an ally in a rival European power, how profoundly different might the map of South America look today?